Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be presenting to you a study entitled Female Sexual Orientation is Perceived Accurately, Rapidly, and Automatically from the Face and its Features. Authored by Rule et al. In 2009 from Tufts University. As you all know, homosexuality is one of the greatest enigmas of modern evolutionary theory. What I'm not going to do is try and figure that out today. What I'm going to do is try and figure out how homosexuals and heterosexuals differ on a physical level. And because of this, I want to know, evolutionarily, have heterosexuals evolved a way to be able to tell apart heterosexuals and homosexuals because they've been around for so long? As you can tell, sometimes it's not so easy to figure out. So some previous studies have shown physical differences between heterosexuals and homosexuals. One of the most important and influential of these, which is now actually being called into question, is the 2D40 ratio on the finger. So the 2D40 ratio was not only supposed to be correlated to homosexuality, but also to attractiveness, plasma testosterone, and ultimate earnings of your life. Which is pretty interesting. However, it's really come under fire in recent years. Now, though that's very nice, it's kind of hard to go around with a tape measure figuring out who's gay and who's straight. So oftentimes, you're going to need a different way. What we want to know is there any way that humans can identify homosexuals and heterosexuals immediately? Now, the researchers of this study 1 year before had done a similar study, which was to test the ability of undergraduates to differentiate between pictures of heterosexual and homosexual men. And they did so, actually, with a 70% correct rating. So the current study seeks to build on these results and extend them to women. Additionally, they wanted to eliminate some flaws they had from earlier studies, which included not controlling for cultural effects such as makeup, ornamentation, or facial expressions. So in this experiment, the researchers gathered 200 pictures of 20 to 30-year-old Caucasian women, half of them straight, half of them gay, from online dating websites from around the United States. They sanitized them by decolorizing them and placing them on white backgrounds, and then cropped them in 3 different ways, corresponding to 3 different treatment groups. Here are the 3 different treatment groups. The first was the full face, which was essentially the exact same as the male study that they did. The purpose of this was to figure out if if, like men, women can be typed as heterosexual or homosexual just based on a picture. The second was only the eyes, the B group here. It was to figure out if we need any facial expression or ornamentation to figure out whether or not people are heterosexual or homosexual. And the third one was the time constraint. How quickly can we do this? And that was by presenting the oval face over on the right. The oval face was done to eliminate any effects from hair. And they showed it for 40 milliseconds, which is actually only about half the time it takes to blink a human eye. Which is, I'll show you real quick. That's it. The second experiment, very fast. The second experiment, they wanted to figure out the difference between nature and nurture, intuition, intellect, snap decision-making, and deliberation. So they gave these same pictures to 2 groups of people, and the first one they said, okay, real quickly, like right now, we need you to figure this out. Are they straight or gay? Are they straight or gay? Hurry up. The second one they said, all right, this is a really important study. We need you guys to figure out if these people are straight or gay. Use everything you can do, like think about it for a really long time, deliberate, and then they compared the results. So for the first studies, the full face results, 64% were correct. This is almost the exact same result as the original male study, and that's a p-value of 0.001. So this means that, yes, we can tell the difference between heterosexual and homosexual women just by a decolorized picture of the face. Note that it's not perfect, 64% isn't perfect, but it's still very statistically significant. P-values from a two-tailed t-test. From the eyes, it is still statistically significant. Even though the p-value is only 0.04, it's still 53% correct, which is much greater than chance. And that's just from a box around the eyes with no other additional information. And it's the same average time to figure it out. And in the 40 millisecond half an eye blink condition, still p is 0.004. You can tell the difference between heterosexual and homosexual women based off of this extremely limited time frame. And this is actually my favorite part of the study. The snap decision versus deliberation condition. In the snap decision condition, 58% were correct, p-value of 0.001. When people slowed down and took their time, that went down to 53% with a p-value of 0.11, not statistically significantly different from chance. So actually, the snap decision, the evolutionarily mediated figure this out real quickly, was more accurate than the deliberation condition with a probability of 0.03. Really cool stuff. Again, here are the results all together. All of them are statistically significant except for the deliberation condition, and they vary slightly in terms of effect size. So what exactly does this mean? Evolutionarily, it must have been advantageous to be able to tell apart heterosexual and homosexual people. As I said before, this could be due to getting better partners if they're interested in you sexually, avoiding mate competition if you have another male next to you who may or may not be interested in the same woman as you, or even forming groups together. Now, what we do know is all of you have a great evolutionary gaydar, and you have to trust that. It's better than when you deliberate. Approximately, androgen concentrations may be to blame for this, or not blame, but yeah. So you all read about the prenatal hormone theory of homosexuality, which said that there are two ways that you can go, and one is heterosexual, the other is homosexual, and these could be mediated by androgen concentrations before birth. Additionally, androgen concentrations have been shown to change face shape. Specifically, they make the forehead, nose, and chin much wider. And it's a linear relationship. So it is possible that the same androgens that are actually changing your homosexual or heterosexual orientation are also actually changing your face type. And that might be what we're seeing in the effects of these studies. So opportunities here to improve this study, actually there aren't too many. The first one was that the effect sizes are actually quite small. So 0.53, although yes, it's statistically significant with a p-value of 0.04, isn't necessarily, you know, a life or death situation. You don't want to be getting it 53% of the time. You want to be getting it 100% of the time. What we have to realize is that in the environment of evolutionary adaptation, you weren't getting decolorized photos of people's eyes. You were getting a full-colored body with previous sexual history, with behavioral stuff, and also cultural effects with whatever ornamentation they decided to use. So it could be that this is actually much higher in the wild. In terms of women and men, all of these studies were done by psychology students who, for some reason or another, are predominantly women. And if women and men differ in their ability to tell apart heterosexuals and homosexuals, which may be true, then these numbers could actually be off for the general population. More studies would need to be done to confirm or deny that. Moreover, something you can do from this study is take the faces that were typed as heterosexual all the time, or almost all the time, and homosexual all the time, or almost all the time, and figure out what exactly are those features that make heterosexuality or homosexuality very salient to the observer. And the conclusions we can draw from this study are actually very nice. There were 4 experimental groups, 4 conclusions. The first one, lesbians and heterosexual women can be differentiated merely by looking at a picture. The second is that we can do it using extremely limited data, just the box around the eyes, and it's still statistically significant. The third is we can also do it very, very rapidly, within 40 milliseconds, which is half the blink of an eye. I love that, half the blink of an eye. And also, this intuition from that is actually better than if you sit around and think about it. So your evolutionarily mediated ability to tell people apart, heterosexual and homosexual, is actually better than your culturally, stereotypically mandated ability to do it now, if you think. So if you're taking anything from this study, it's trust your gaydar, and you'll be right at least most of the time. Thank you very much.